Well, hello there and welcome to Earth News. And a big shout out to all the beings from all the different races out there in the galaxy and beyond. And what we're going to do today is I just want to give you an update on what it's like on planet Earth from the perspective of children. Now, the first thing you'll notice when you listen to humans speaking, they regard children in very high esteem. They think a lot of them. To them, their children are their future. That's a really important statement that you would hear being made many times by humans. So let's just look in the reality of what it's like to be a child. So if you take the place where I live now, which is in the south of England, and the kind of location where I am, then what you notice about children is they have a very limited existence. Their freedoms are very much curtailed and controlled. And so what happens to the children is they go to sleep in their home and they get up, and then most days they get put into a little wheeled vehicle and they get transported to a place where they are contained for about 6 hours. And this is a place which is theoretically designed to give them knowledge, understanding and information, and is also a place to contain them and stop them from being able to go where they like, do what they want. And they call that school. So they have that experience, and then when it's time for them to get out of school, they go into a little metal box on wheels and get transported back, possibly to the shopping centre, if not back to home again. And if they're really fortunate, they might get transported in the metal box to a friend's house for a play date. And what they spend most of their time doing when they're not being controlled by adults is they do things like this on a little screen, or they do things like this on a bigger screen, and they can spend hours doing these kind of things, and occasionally they might look at a very big screen. So in the part of the planet Earth where I'm living, that's a common thing. And in fact, has a experience of being in a relationship with an Earth human with a single child, and that was pretty much a child's life. It took a lot of persuasion to give the child a bit of freedom. It wasn't easy, because there's lots of fear in the humans these days about what might happen to their children. So then there's also my experience up north. And I refer to my film called Three Young Dudes to give you an idea. So in the part of up north where I live, which is where I used to live, lived. It's all the same, isn't it? Very impoverished part of the world, much poverty. Well, the children out there actually have a lot more freedom. They are permitted to go and play outside with other children. And you can hear them shrieking and screaming and shouting very loudly in the street. And it seems like life's quite a lot of fun for them. And then there's the children in other parts, in other places. So there are children that what they do is they live in a part of the world and they don't have parents. They're actually locked up, and every day they go off to work and they go to a rubbish tip and they dig out things of value from the rubbish tip, and they sleep in the rubbish tip. They work there, all the social interaction takes place there. If they get any food, it's what they find in the rubbish tip, and that's their life. They live in rubbish. There's also the children that live in a different place altogether, and what they do is they go out every day to a mine, but it's not like a big hole in the ground. It's like just an an area which has been excavated, and what they do is they go out with sacks and they collect a valuable mineral. Now this mineral is essential to make these little screens. They can't make these things without this mineral, and these children don't get paid. They're slaves, and their job is just to go out every day, and they're worked until they die, and that's what they do. They get this special valuable mineral so that other children can look at these screens. And then there's other children, and their experience is very different again, and what happens to them is they are entertainment, and they're used as adult entertainment, and rather like the ones that are mining this mineral, it doesn't really matter how long they last because there's an infinite supply of more of them. And it's the same with this too. So there are children that are used to entertain adults in all sorts of ways, and we're going to go a bit further down the rabbit hole in the next one on this. I'm not going to go into much detail about this, but these children disappear. So all over the world, children disappear and are not seen or heard from again, and they go into what is a massive global industry for entertaining adults. And the way that we can get to just get little glimpses of what's going on is we'll get certain things like, there's a country called America, and they put on the back of their milk cartons information about a child gone missing. If you know anything about the child, please get in touch. And it's completely common out there, and it is in many other countries too. So children just disappear and are never seen again. And then there's countries, there's a particular one, nation state called North Korea. That one is most strange, because what happens there is there are some children that are born in and live and die in what's called a concentration camp. So these children spend their entire lives in a camp, rather like what the Jews got put into in World War II, if that's the history that you choose to accept, and all the other things too that have gone on. And there's a particular example of one when he's in his early 20s, he manages to escape, and he was born into this camp, and he was in there because his father's brother tried to escape that country to go to live in another country. So because of that, the brother was, and all the rest of the family, are put in this concentration camp, and people have children, and he was born in that camp, and that's where he would have stayed had he not escaped. And he was the first person ever known to have escaped from that particular place, so he told us what it was like being a child there. And in the part of the world, East Asia, rice is like the staple diet, and the conditions under which he was kept were so appalling that he very rarely even got to taste rice. So there is all sorts of things going on out there. It's like a lottery, really. And then let's not forget the fact that around about 2 billion refugees stroke migrants. So these are people that they get up like you and me, they go about their day, and all of a sudden it changes, and bombs and other things start falling from the sky, bullets, and there's a war. A war arrives in their country, and then the most basic things like eating and drinking and going to the toilet become really difficult, if not almost impossible. And the ones that have the money are the ones that manage to escape, and they leave behind pretty much everything, and they become migrants, and they travel from country to country. And this is another thing that you'll find a lot of children on planet Earth doing at the moment. They are migrants, and some of them may be lucky enough to be being a migrant with their parents and family, and a lot of them are not. They end up separated, and they end up travelling from place to place until finally they end up somewhere, and they end up in a refugee camp in whatever part of the world it may happen to be. And then they are in a situation where there's no education, there's no possibility of ever getting a job, or ever earning any money, or ever having any dignity. They are looking forward to their life being managing to do whatever it takes to scrounge a bit of food to survive for another day. So that's another frequently observed lifestyle in human children on earth. And these are the ones that they've got the greatest respect for, and these are their future. So a bit of a mystery that so many of them get treated in such ways. So this is really just the beginning. So thank you very much, and I'm going to take you a bit deeper into this rabbit hole, and what you'll discover, as always, nothing is as it seems. Thank you very much.